Alright, let's discuss Basket Case 3, The Progeny. First time watch. This movie was once again written and directed by Frank Henenlotter and came out in 1991. This one picks up right after part 2, and Belial is now a dad, and some cops take his kids away, and he has to go on a bloody rampage to get his kids back. What I like about this movie is, just like part 2, part 3 picks up right after the previous installment. You get a quick little recap, and then it continues right from there. I like crazy Duane in this one, him like constantly like trying to escape, and just his crazy performance in this movie. Like, I like his weird, crazy, over-the-top performance in this movie a lot more than part 2. He's still not a great actor, but he's better than this one. This one also has better kills. Part 2 didn't really have any on-screen kills whatsoever, and some of them weren't even really confirmed. Like, they were just kind of messed up and wounded, and that's it. Like, this one has much better kills. You get a nice rampage at a police station. It's just a lot more bloody than part 2, but I think part 1 still has the best kills. I like the dream sequence in this movie. This is how you do a dream sequence. You have the character dream of naked ladies with huge tits. And I like the officers in this movie. They're very over the top. They're corny as hell. The dialogue, the performances by them. Like, this one kind of brought it back to part 1, where you have just really over the top characters and just very entertaining, side characters. They're not the main focus, but the officers, when you do see them, they're very amusing. And I like that this one also brought back the revenge plot. The first one was all about getting revenge against the doctors, and now this one, it's getting revenge against these evil cops. And I love the robot suit. It reminded me of Aliens. It has like these giant claws, and Belial gets in it, and it's on the poster, so it's not too much of a spoiler. It's on the poster. But it was just a fun scene. This one just really just goes for it. It's a lot more crazier than part 2. The third act in this movie is definitely better than the third act in part 2. Getting into some of my dislikes, I feel like some of the effects are a little cheaper in this one. And even the look of Belial, it looks like they changed it. His skin tone, like, it's different than part 2, which kind of bugged me. And you know what this movie and part 2 need? A better soundtrack. The composer is the same composer of Child's Play and like Poltergeist 3. Like, he's a good composer. Joe Renzetti, like, he does the composing for part 2 and part 3, but there's like nothing that stands out. By the end of the movie, I don't even notice that there's music in the film. And this movie, just like part 2, still has no focus on the freaks at the house. I want to know who these people are. Like, I feel like you could have a whole TV series dedicated to each of these, like, have episodes for each of these people and how they got to Dr. Ruth's place. Like, we don't get to know any of these freaks. They don't ever speak. Like, they have no personalities, so you don't care about any of them. And they're just there to be there. Like, I want to see Duane and Belial hanging out with these people. And, especially Belial. I know he doesn't talk, but they could talk to him, or like have Duane, like, especially in part 2. Like, I feel like that would be the better movie for it. Duane hanging out with the freaks. And, like, I don't know, his character is just all over the place. Like, at the end of part 1, he wants to be rid of Belial. And then in part 2, he just wants to get away still from Belial, live his own life. But then by the end of the movie, he's like, fuck it, I want to be with Belial. I'm going to stitch him back onto me. And then in this one, he goes right back to, like, I just want to get the fuck out of here. I got to leave and live my own life. And then he's all about protecting his brother again and being with him and protecting his nephews and shit. Like, he just goes back and forth, like, make up your mind. I also didn't like that they retconned the fact that Dr. Ruth had a son that died at birth that was deformed. Like, she said that he died in part 2, but now in this one, she's like, oh no, that's bullshit, I just made it up. Why? Like, doesn't make sense. And then it's like, she gave up her son to this guy who she calls Uncle Hal. Is he really the uncle? Like, is she related to him? I don't know. But so she gave up her son for adoption, like, right away, because when she sees him in this movie, she's like, oh my gosh, I hardly recognized you. It's been so long. You've grown up so much. Like, why does she give up her son, who's deformed, just to go take care of all these other people who are deformed? So final thoughts, this is a goofier sequel with over-the-top performances, not as good cinematography and cheaper effects, but it has a much better script, a cool third act, and more laughs. So when it comes to Basket Case 3, I'll give this one 3.5 stars. Spoiler discussion. So after the opening recap, we get the same exact opening credits as part 2 over artist's drawing of Belial. I thought that was kind of lazy. Like, change it up. Create a new background for your credits. This is yet another movie that has clearly like some production still or just a still from the previous movie that's hanging on the wall. It's a picture of Susan and her monster baby coming out of her stomach that for some reason Dr. Ruth has on the wall. Like, she's had it there all the time. And so therefore, why was Duane surprised that she had that thing in her stomach? Like, he never came across that picture before to realize that Susan wasn't normal. It's a weird photo to have hanging on your wall. Then we're introduced to Uncle Hal, and he's like Mr. Peltzer and Gremlins or Doc Brown. He likes to invent these crazy things. Like, he's got this wacky coffee maker. It's like mousetrap, like this thing bumps into that. It's like a Rube Goldberg machine or whatever it's called. Like, this bumps into this and this does this, and then at the end you get coffee. Like, it's a crazy invention just to make coffee. Then this movie almost turns into a musical, and I started to get scared because I hate musicals. But they're on the bus, and I love that the name of the bus, the school, it just says "No One You Know," "No One You Know," and they're like singing this song, and the actress who plays Dr. Ruth supposedly is, according to the back of the case here, it says that she's like a world famous like singer. But she's not even singing in that scene. It doesn't look like it. She's like mouthing the words. So it's like you hire a famous singer and you're not even going to like utilize that talent. I love how Belial is, for some reason, not on the bus with them as they're driving around. He's on the back, on the U-Haul, like this trailer, and his basket is placed on top of everything, and it's not even properly secured. There's no bungee cord going over it. It's just like lying on top of shit that is strapped down. So it's like he could easily fly off of that thing. And in one shot, when they're going around the corner, you can see it like start to lift up like it's about to fall off. Then when Eve's water breaks, it's like a freaking tidal wave in that bus. The water just goes gushing out, just flying out the front of the bus. It's very crazy and over the top. Then this movie, just like part 2, forces a flashback that just was not necessary. This whole scene did not have to play out this way. It was really dumb. Like, he sees the doctor trying to help out his wife, and he flips the fuck out because he's remembering that time in part 1 when he was separated from his brother. So they cut back to that flashback in part 1, and it's just explaining why he's attacking the doctor, but he doesn't need to be attacking the doctor in the first place. It's just like the writer felt like, oh, we need to throw in an extra kill or attack scene here, so we'll do this. But it's like, it's not needed. So I just thought that could have been taken out. It's just, again, a little bit of filler just to throw in, this flashback, just take it out. And then another thing that just went on too long was this whole joke with the babies coming out. Like, she has 12 babies, and I thought for sure it was going to be over at 4 or 5. But this joke just goes on for too long. Like, I liked it at first. It was funny. Like, this guy's reaction to every baby and just saying wacky things after each baby came out. Like, oh, 4, give me more. 5, holy shit. And then, like, 9, is it mine? I don't know. Like, he kept saying stupid stuff, but it just kept going and going. It's like, Jesus Christ, by the time he got to 8, I was, like, done with it. And then he did 9, 10, 11, 12. Like, it's not funny anymore. Then Belial has a sexy, wet dream of these 2 babes with huge tits laying in bed with him. And these 2 cops, they see the ad from part 2 that says $1 million reward for finding Belial and Duane. So they're willing to break the law. They're going to break and enter this house to steal Belial or kill him, to get that reward. But they go in, and instead of killing Belial, they mistaken Eve for Belial, so they shoot Eve with a shotgun that makes her like spark for some reason. I'm not sure what the hell is in these shotgun shells, but it seems to make everything spark. And so yeah, they kill Eve, and then on top of it, they steal all the babies. Then you got this interesting character, Opal. Yeah, is that her name? Opal? Her dad's the sheriff, and she likes criminals. She likes crazy people. She's like Megan in Jason Lives. But I like this better than the relationship between Duane and Susan. This was just more funny, and it wasn't like a serious relationship that felt forced. This one was much better. Like, she's like all about Duane just because he's in a cell and he's clearly crazy. Like, she likes crazy people, and she takes out this like bullwhip. And I seriously thought the entire movie, until I looked it up afterwards, that that was the same actress playing Opal who played Susan in part 2. And it really confused me at first, because I was like, how does he not recognize her? I guess Susan's alive? Like, but he didn't recognize her, so I guess it's just the same actress playing a different character. But no, it's a different actress, but holy shit, she could be her twin. She could be her stunt double. I'm not sure if this is a fuck up in the script or if I'm just missing something, but I swear to God, this sheriff knows Ruth. He even calls her Dr. Freak, I believe, earlier in the film when Uncle Hal's talking about her. He's like, oh, the Dr. Freak, right? And then when he sees her later on, he calls her by her name, Ruth. He's not like introduced to her. She doesn't say, hi, my name's Ruth. Like, he knows that is Ruth. He calls her Ruth. And then after that, he's like, who the hell are you? And who the hell are these people? It's like, you know who she is. Then we get the whole like police breakout, and Belial goes there and he starts ripping heads off, twisting heads, strangles this cop to the point where his head like starts to balloon up some and his eyes pop out of his skull. It's fucking over the top and crazy. And then Opal, the sheriff's daughter, gets shot by one of the cops on accident, and when the sheriff gets there, he finds her dead body, and we get like this Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 moment where he like holds her dead body and is like crying, and it's like a genuinely sad moment in the movie, which is very odd. Like, this tone is so wacky and over the top the entire film, and then you get this scene where they actually show a character crying and like feeling grief. It just came out of nowhere. It genuinely shocked the shit out of me. I was like, holy shit. Like, you never usually get this in slashers and other horror movies where people actually have a moment to cry about someone dying. Like, they always skip past that shit. And in this one, a movie that you would never expect it to happen in, it happens. So then little Hal builds this robot, and the two cops that killed Eve get killed by the robot off camera. I like that the one guy was like impersonating Elvis, and you know, Duane was casually just eating cereal while he was getting killed in the background. So it was pretty funny. I just wish that these kills would have been on camera. The actress who played the hooker in part 1 is back playing this fast food manager, so it was cool to see her yet again return to the franchise. And then we get kind of this quick fight between Belial and the sheriff while Belial's in that robot suit. And, it was a cool idea. I just wish, if this movie had a bigger budget, this would have been an even better scene. They could have done a lot more with it. I would have liked to see this robot suit that he's wearing do a lot more damage to these cops and the sheriff, but we don't really get to see too much here. But I like the idea. It was pretty cool to see. And I like that the end of this movie is Ruth and all the freaks and Belial and Duane interrupting this program that like exploits freaks. Like those shows back in the day, like Geraldo or Maury Povich, whatever his name was. They interrupt the program and they're like looking at the camera like, you're going to stop judging us and, we're going to take over now. Like, we're not the freaks, you're the freaks. Blah, blah, blah. Something like that, So, yeah, that was a nice ending. I don't think it's as memorable as part 2, stitching Belial back onto Duane and his crazy laugh. I like that ending a little bit better, but the whole third act was better in this movie, in my opinion. So those are my thoughts on Basket Case 3. Let me know what yours are in the comments below. Is it your favorite sequel? Do you like it better than 2? Is it your favorite overall? Let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And remember, it's all an opinion. You don't need to get butthurt about it.